Some protagonists arrive in glossy power armor, some lug plasma rifles the size of bass guitars, and some are sentient eggs wearing boxing gloves. That alone might pigeonhole Dizzy, prince of the Yolkfolk on the bizarre shelf, yet its design soul is as classical as a Greek myth if Zeus had scrambled offspring. Underrated or overrated? If you grew up swapping .wads and sneering at anything that scrolled slower than Doom, you probably wrote it off as yoke-brained. But if, like me, you sneaked it onto the family 486 between math homework sessions, you know it's an elegantly compact adventure, cracked open at budget price and dripping with puzzle platform charm. Fundamental or disposable? Several of today's indie darlings owe their 3-item limit epiphanies to this humble Codemasters floppy. Hyperbole? Maybe. But where else can you watch a cartoon ovum bounce across drawbridge gears clutching cherries like life itself depends on fruit sugar? Spoiler, it does. Historical context. To understand why an egg and a jester hat mattered in the early 90s, you have to rewind to Britain's 8-bit microcomputer boom. Twin wonderkinder Philip and Andrew Oliver had incubated the Dizzy series on the ZX Spectrum since 1987, each entry stitched from equal parts fairy tale pastiche and lateral thinking item puzzles. By installment 6, Prince of the Yolkfolk, they'd entrusted day-to-day coding to Big Red Software while staying on as creative overseers. Codemasters kept distribution cheap enough to fit the pocket money mantra that British newsagents loved. The first versions for Amstrad, ZX Spectrum, Amiga, and Atari ST arrived in December 1991 inside the 5-game compilation Dizzy's Excellent Adventures. For North American DOS users, the game surfaced in May 1992 as part of the Dizzy Collection, one 3.5-inch disc squeezed onto store shelves, otherwise stuffed with shareware FPS demos and Turbo Pascal manuals. A few catalog databases list 1993, blame staggered repressings and fuzzy retailer paperwork. That timing proved double-edged. On one side, full-priced retail was drifting towards $60 CD-ROM spectaculars, making Dizzy's $15 compilation irresistible to allowance-poor teenagers. On the other, those same teens were busy configuring Sound Blaster IRQs for Wolfenstein and soon after, Doom. My own discovery happened in a B. Dalton Software, etc., where cardboard mech warriors blocked the serious shelf space. A jewel case with pastel cover art and egg prints brandishing a rose felt charmingly rebellious in a sea of extreme TM box copy. The clerk shrugged. It's British. I installed it that night, and within minutes, Rockwart the Troll had hurled Dizzy into an underground cell for daring to kiss a sleep-cursed Daisy. That grumpy troll became the inciting incident of every save file I nurtured for months. PC graphics in '92 oscillated between leftover EGA palettes and nascent VGA bravado. LucasArts had just unleashed Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. Tyann was quietly filming linking book stills for Myst. Into that audiovisual arms race rolled a single floppy program whose beeper stings and overscan text windows looked archaic. Yet Dizzy's minuscule code footprint masked real sophistication. Parallax forests, contextual sound cues, and dialogue pop-ups charming enough to survive DOS's sharper dither-free palette. Mechanics calling Prince of the Yolkfolk a platformer feels like calling chess a move-some-pieces simulator. Yes, Dizzy cartwheels left and right with a momentum curve part Mario, part soap bar, and yes, he leaps cloud to turret to snail shell. But the gravitational heart here is puzzle chaining. Pick up object A, unlock scenario B, receive object C, loop until Daisy wakes, or you lock yourself in a well. Your inventory caps at 3 items, a seemingly harsh restriction that secretly drives the entire design economy. Unlike LucasArts Horde Fests, Dizzy forces prioritization. Carry a rusty key, a bucket of water, and a loaf of bread. Tough. The rope you just discovered won't fit unless you ditch lunch. Cue backtracking across roughly 40 single-screen vignettes, each drawn Spectrum tight yet repainted in VGA sherbet for DOS. Our absurd through line? Cherries. Exactly 20 glow around the kingdom, doubling as health top-ups and 100% completion tokens. One nestles under a sleeping giant's nose, another hides in a cloud cellar, a third wedges behind the troll's privy. The cherries crystallize Dizzy design philosophy, collectibles that blend vitality, narrative garnish, and compulsive box checking. I lost half my early teen hairline chasing the final fruit. Why 20, not 25? Because Big Red loved mathematical taunts. Environmental hazards read like a medieval OSHA handout. Retracting spikes, water currents that instant kill eggs, fire-spitting gargoyles, boulders that roll with Monty Python timing. Dizzy's endless cartwheel doubles as traversal flourish and hitbox nightmare. Misjudging you pirouette straight into damage. Watching yoke energy drain faster than a dial-up download. Dialogue bubbles pop whenever Dizzy meets an NPC. Cyan rectangles packed with cereal box UK Whimsy. Rockwart threatens to scramble trespassers. Daisy exhales bubble hearts. Good Wizard Theodore dispenses dad joke hints. That potion is excellent. It's Oliver Twin's humor that makes American kids wonder whether dodgy is a noun. At its best, the object logic feels elegantly Newtonian. Example, Find flint in a forest glade. Elsewhere sits an unlit campfire. Spark flame, snow melts on a mountaintop, water turns the mill, revealing an elevator cog needed for castle access. 10 screens, 0 dialogue boxes explaining the chain. Pure show don't tell. At its worst, the logic plunges into moon logic. Feed bread to a rat, get crowbar, pry gold bar, trade for magic apple to kiss Daisy awake. Some days I swear the QA team survived on cryptic crosswords. Quick mini rant on DOS keyboard mapping. Default jump sits on shift, inventory toggles on alt, interact on space. Combine that with Dizzy's slipperiness, and down you go, staircases becoming eggy slalom runs. Later ports bound, jumped to gamepad buttons, but in '92, PC users grew calluses on left pinkies and bragged about it. Legacy and influence critics split along the Atlantic. PC Zone applauded Featherlight charm, but groaned at its brevity. UK Spectrum mags drooled over art. US shareware hunters shrugged. Where's the digitized speech? Dizzy never cracked megastar status, overshadowed by hedgehogs and plumbers, yet its DNA seeped forward. The 3-item inventory reemerges in minimalist puzzlers like Fez or the Strawberry Hunts of Celeste. Screen world layout presages VVVVVV, and the die, learn, retry ethos resonates through Souls-likes, albeit those trade yoke puns for existential dread. Codemasters later greenlit fan remasters, keeping the yoke rolling. Hobby devs ported the game to Windows in the DirectX Dawn, added orchestral MIDI, swapped cherries for pumpkins on Halloween mods, and birthed speedrunning charts. When the Olivers partnered with DNA Interactive for an officially sanctioned iOS Android HD release on the 9th of December 2011, nostalgic 30-somethings downloaded it for the marimba intro and swiftly remembered how merciless water pits feel on a touchscreen. If Prince of the Yolkfolk never breached pop culture critical mass, it may be because its charm demands patience. No save slots, lose 3 lives, back to DOS prompt. That threat feels alien in an autosave era, yet the tension makes the 20th cherry, tucked behind the Sky Castle wind vein, euphoric. Modern equivalent, beating Spelunky without shortcuts. Only instead of random lava, you get a grinning egg prince. Forum folklore insists one cherry becomes permanently missable if you botch an earlier puzzle, a rumor still dissected on Discord. Speedrunners exploit frame-perfect jump buffers to nab it regardless, shaving seconds off sub 10-minute records. Grown adults optimizing cherry roots so an egg can kiss his comatose girlfriend faster. That absurdity is Dizzy's eternal mojo. Closing paragraph plus score, boot Prince of the Yolkfolk in DOSBox, and you'll meet Lego block pixels, sherbet hues, and door chime sound effects. Stick around and the design unfolds. Tight object loops, layered screens. A map you can almost memorize, yet still misroute on run 20. Bizarre? Absolutely. Name another franchise where your hitbox depends on yoke elasticity. Underrated or overrated? History now says criminally slept on. Fundamental or forgettable? Count the modern indies built around lean inventory and interlocking screens. Then pay respects to their eggy godfather. I'll take Dizzy's Cheshire Cat cherries, slapstick trolls, and gravity-snubbing somersaults any day. Final verdict, 8.2 out of 10, because sometimes teaching puzzle literacy means cracking an egg, tossing in 20 cherries, and letting players scramble both.